Hello students, welcome to Meetu maths classes. This is the revision series for JEE mains and today's topic is inverse trigonometric functions. So let us start with our first question today. The domain of the function fx is equals to cos inverse of 2 minus modulus x upon 4. So we are interested in to find the domain of your function fx. Now we know that our function is cos inverse function and the domain of cos inverse x is domain of cos inverse x is equals to minus 1 to 1. So that will implies 2 minus modulus x upon 4 must lie in between minus 1 to 1. Okay. Now if we multiply with 4 both sides, we will get 2 minus modulus x must lie in between minus 4 to 4. If we subtract 2 from both sides, then we will get minus 4 minus 2 will be minus 6, and from here if we subtract 2 we are left with minus of modulus x, and if we subtract 2 from 4 we will get 2 only. Now if x is lying between a and b, that will implies minus x is lying between minus b and minus a. So using this property we can write down that modulus x must lie in between minus 2 and 6. Okay. But we know that modulus of anything is always greater than equals to 0. So this is greater than, we can write it down. We can write it as this. Okay. Now consider modulus x. Now modulus x is less than equals to 6. And there is a formula that modulus x is less than equals to a square will imply that x is lying between minus a to a. Okay, using this we can write it as x is lying in between minus root 6 to root 6. Okay, now the domain of fx will be the domain of fx, x must lie in between minus root 6 to root 6. So the domain will be minus root 6 to root 6. Your first option is correct. Now your second question is the domain of the function given by fx is equals to square root of sine inverse 2x plus pi by 6. Now to find out the domain of your function, we know that your function is of type square root of something, and domain of square root of x, square root function is defined. Square root of x is defined when x must be greater than equals to 0, and sine inverse x is defined when x is lying between minus 1 to 1. सो स्क्वायर रूट के अंदर आपका जो भी फंक्शन लिखा हुआ है दैट मस्ट बी साइन इनवर्स 2x प्लस पाई बाय 6, दैट मस्ट बी ग्रेटर देन इक्वल्स टू 0. ऑल्सो साइन इनवर्स का जो डोमेन है दैट मस्ट लाई इन बिटवीन माइनस 1 to 1. ओके, फ्रॉम हेयर वी कैन राइट इट as sine inverse 2x must be greater than equals to minus pi by 6. Okay, so 2x must be greater than equals to sine minus pi by 6. Okay, and sine of minus pi by 6 can be written as minus sine pi by 6. Sine of minus x is minus sine x, and sine pi by 6 is sine 30, that is 1 by 2. So x must be greater than equals to minus 1 by 4. This is one of the interval. Now, your second interval is x must lies, if 2x lies between minus 1 to 1, then x must lies in between minus half to half. So, this is our second domain. So, the domain of fx will be intersection of these two, 1 intersection 2. Now, your first interval is, this is 0, suppose this is half, this is minus half, and this is minus 1 by 4. Your first interval says that x must be greater than equals to minus 1 by 4. And second interval says that x must lies in between minus half to half. So, the intersection part will be this. So, the domain of fx will be from minus 1 by 4 to half. So, your option 2 is correct. Now, your next question is the domain and range of function fx is equals to sin inverse x plus cos inverse x plus tan inverse x plus cot inverse x plus sec inverse x plus cosec inverse x. ये आपका फंक्शन डिफाइंड है and you have to find the domain and range of this function. Now, for domain, you must have knowledge of the domain of these inverse trigonometric functions. Now, the domain of sin inverse x is minus 1 to 1. Domain of cos inverse x is again minus 1 to 1. Okay. Then domain of tan inverse x is, tan inverse x का domain is the whole real line. Similarly, the domain of cot inverse x is also the whole real line. And we also know that the domain of cosec inverse x is what? The whole real line minus 1 to 1, open interval minus 1 to 1. And similarly, the domain of sec inverse x is also r minus open interval minus 1 to 1. Now, your fx is a composite function of all these 6 functions. Cos inverse x plus tan inverse x plus cot inverse x plus sec inverse x plus cosec inverse x. Now, we know that the domain of a composite function is the intersection of the domain of all individual functions. So, the domain of fx is the intersection of all these minus 1 to 1 r and r minus 1 to 1. And the intersection of all these 3 intervals is only 2 points, minus 1 and 1. So, the domain of fx is the intersection of all these 3. We can write it as minus 1 to 1, intersection r, intersection r minus 1. And that is only 2 points, minus 1 and 1. Now, we are also interested in the range of this. Now, consider your fx is equals to sin inverse x plus cos inverse x plus tan inverse x plus cot inverse x plus sec inverse x plus cosec inverse x. And we know that sin inverse x plus cos inverse x is equals to pi by 2. Similarly, tan inverse x plus cot inverse x is also equals to pi by 2. And sec inverse x plus cosec inverse x is also pi by 2. So, the range of fx always takes values 3 pi by 2. So, the range will be 3 pi by 2. So domain is -1 to 1 and range is 3 pi by 2. So your option 1 is correct. Your next question is fx is sec inverse x minus 10 plus cos inverse 10 minus x, and we have to find the range of fx. Now to find the range of this function, we are going to first know the domain of fx. Now for the domain of fx, we know that sec inverse x का domain क्या होता है, is lying between sec inverse x is defined for all x less than equals to -1 or greater than equals to 1. So that will implies x minus 10 must be less than equals to -1 or x minus 10 must be greater than equals to 1. Or we can say that 10 वहाँ जाके ऐड हो जाएगा, that x must be less than equals to 9 or 10 वहाँ जाके x can be greater than equals to 11. So this is your domain of sec inverse of x minus 10. Now consider cos inverse of 10 minus x. Now cos inverse x is defined for all x lying between -1 to 1. So that will implies that 10 minus x must lie in between -1 to 1. If we are going to subtract 10, so minus 11 is less than equals to minus 9. तो अगर आप माइनस से मल्टीप्लाई करते हैं, then you will get x must lie between 9 to 11. Okay. So this is your domain of cos inverse of 10 minus x. Now the domain of fx. Domain of fx क्या हो जाएगा? The intersection of these two domain. 1 intersection 2. Now 1 intersection 2. 1 says that 9 and 11. Your x can take either less than equals to 9 or greater than equals to 11. And 2 implies that x can take between 9 to 11. So the common domain will be only 2 points, 9 and 11. Now we can find the range of fx. Your fx is sec inverse of x minus 10 plus cos inverse of 10 minus x, and the domain is 9 and 11. So f9 is sec inverse of 9 minus 10 plus cos inverse of 10 minus 9. So sec inverse of -1 plus cos inverse of 1. So this will be pi plus 0, that is pi. And f11 is sec inverse of 11 minus 10 plus cos inverse of 10 minus 11. Okay. So this will give you sec inverse of 1 and this will give you cos inverse of -1. So this will give you 0 and this will give you pi. So again you are getting pi. So in all the domain has only 2 points and in both the points your range will be pi. So the range of fx is only pi. So your option 4 is correct. So students, if you liked my videos, प्लीज़ इसे लाइक शेयर ज़रूर करें और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लें, जिससे आप मेरे वीडियोस से, अपकमिंग वीडियोस से बेनिफिट ले पाएँ. एंड कीप वॉचिंग माय वीडियोस. हैव अ नाइस डे. गुड बाय.